Well, you know, and we spoke about it pre-game, about the fact that Penrith had beaten the Roosters the last 9 times they've played them. Now, looking at that performance tonight, do you think that played a part? Do you think, is there an aura about this Penrith side at Penrith where the Roosters did go out there thinking, how do we beat these?
Well, at Penrith, they're very hard to beat. And you know that. You're never going to get a call. They make you come from your back end a whole game, and they're relentless with it. They kick well. They're ruthless with their defence, and they do have that bit of aura about them. But like I said, you got to start fast against them, and Roosters didn't do that tonight.
No.
They tried to recover after the break, and you would know Trent Robinson very, very well. What would he have said at that half-time? Because they came out and scored the next 2 tries.
My guess is that he just hit him between the eyes with the physicality part. That was the difference at the start of the game. Like, you can sit here and talk about X's and O's, but ultimately there was a ball on the ground and the Penrith guys got to the contest, they got to the tackle, they physically got over the advantage line faster than the Roosters wanted to, and that's a desire, that's an intent thing. And I think Trent Robinson would have spoken about it at half-time. They did the right thing. They came out and scored the next 2 tries, but ultimately it was the start of the game that cost them. And when you talk about the aura of teams beaten before you start, this is what the premiership's about. You just don't get given the trophy. You've got to go through Penrith, you've got to go through Melbourne. Whichever team ends up winning deserves to win that trophy because they put it together for the 80 minutes and they took down, you know, maybe potentially one of the better teams we've seen in a long time. But that's what the final's about. We spoke about it before we even started. Pressure, dreaming about the occasion, and Penrith are just the first team through to a chance of grabbing that thing.
It's amazing how they were able to hit the switch tonight, because last week against the Titans, it was 6-4 at half-time. They were a chance of getting rolled against the Titans. Titans looked more energetic. After the opening 10, 15 minutes of the game, and Penrith scored a try against them off the back of a good kick chase error, then scrum, Penrith try, and you thought, okay, they'll get on a roll here. They didn't. They didn't get on a roll. And I think, looking at what's happened to them over the last 6 weeks, 8 yet, Nathan wasn't there. But I think it's just been a long 5-year campaign, and it might have caught up with them over the last 6 weeks. Got beaten by the Raiders, who were very good and gutsy. Close one against Melbourne, and then closed down the season with a very shaky performance against the Titans. But they hit that switch tonight.
I think just having Nate's presence out there
was
the difference. Like, he took the line on. He made defenders think twice about whether he's going to go or whether he's going to pass. And I think that just loosened up Jerome a lot and Isaiah Yeo. And then they finished off their sets really nice. I think in the first 20 minutes they had like 3 repeat sets and they got the ball back. Just built pressure, made the Roosters tackle, and that was the difference.
I saw you watching the game, and like you were just shaking your head, because I could feel that you knew what it was like to be on the back end of that. Yeah. Just relentless swarm in numbers. Like they were a pack, weren't they? Both sides of the field, just numbers. The timing with the play the balls and the players, the big men that were hitting the ball, the timing was perfect. Like, there was no one stopping to catch. There was no one had to check their run before they got the ball. They were just steaming onto the ball. The ball was played at the right time. Mitch Kenny was just dishing it up in front of them. And they just had the Roosters on the back foot for 40 minutes. Like, those numbers that we went through after the opening half. 31 tackles inside the 20. They'd made almost 100 more tackles, the Roosters. It's a wonder they had the energy to come out and do what they did in the second half. Had a break and came back out energised, but that in the end probably took its toll on the Roosters for the back end of the game. Penrith just went into their mode after they gave up those 2 tries. It got to 24-10. And the Roosters almost scored another one, got pulled back for a forward pass, which was questionable, but Penrith just went, they didn't make any more mistakes. They didn't make any more errors. They didn't offer the Roosters any more chances.
And even the full-time stats, their completion, they finished near perfect, 95%, and completely dominated the territory. So, yes, it wasn't a complete block out in the second 40 minutes, but it was just as good and just as reliable. Nathan Cleary, you mentioned it, Mitch, just to have his return. He got an early mark, all of about 3.5 minutes, but he would definitely take that. And they stood and applauded to see Nathan back, because it's not just his teammates who wanted to see him back in the biggest game so far of the year. It was the sellout crowd at Panthers in their very last game there at home as they embark on yet another finals campaign. And like half to half, what is it that you admire most about Nathan?
Well, I think just how he competes. I think we spoke about it pre-game about his shoulder injury, and he's been out for so many weeks, and then comes back, and his first tackle, involvement in the game is him shooting off the line, trying to hit the biggest bloke on the field, and just shows how competitive he is and the type of player he is. And just in the big moments, he nailed all the big moments tonight, and just I think he just relaxed everyone in his team. Everyone knew their role. Everyone knew what line to run, where they had to be, and I think he just relaxed everyone tonight.
Yeah, he was a star. Defensively, kicking game, control, organisation, being in the presence, allowing everyone to fill in their role. And if you watch the game closely, he didn't really miss a beat. But there's a couple of moments with that left shoulder, he doesn't extend, he doesn't grab onto a tackle as much as he normally would. So he was brilliant. But there are signs that it's obviously not 100%, and not a lot of players are at this time of year. Hence why he got the rest, hence why Schneider came on. But I'm glad that the Penrith Panthers got that win, because at least it gives him another 2 weeks to rest, recover, and get that shoulder as good as it can be again.
Yeah, the kicking couldn't have been better from both Luai and, we spoke about the kicking at halftime from Jerome and how much pressure he took off Nathan. But the kicking of Nathan was incredible. Like the repeat sets that they were able to get. The errors he was able to force through his high kicks early in the game, just that level of control. The try assist, the kick for Luke Garner at the back end to score, to get to 30. You couldn't ask your halfback who's just been out for a month and was maybe not to play do any better. You just couldn't. And
he doesn't miss. He's put it on the spot every single kick, and it's
on the ground, in the air, they're on the spot.
100% of his kicks are on the spot, and he doesn't miss. He's just he's so good to watch.
And compound that, if you're going to have that good of a kicking game, the back three of the Roosters, Daniel Tupou had 2 errors. And normally if you're going to try and pick a weakness in the Panthers, it's probably the height of their wingers up against the Roosters. But the Roosters were the ones that made the errors on the wings. So that's probably one area that made the Roosters be on the in-goal for the majority of that first half, is errors off the back of Nathan's kicking game.
The height difference always seems the most obvious thing, but when it plays out in actuality in the game, you don't often notice it, and it's hardly ever the Brian To'o gets beaten.
Well, you know what they do, but you know what they do, and they mightn't catch the ball. And when you've got Daniel Tupou climbing over the top of you, what you can't do is be inactive and just stand there and let it happen. And we saw a couple of times tonight, just even putting your arm up, just competing for the ball, just do something. Can't just stand there and let it happen. And you see so many wingers just stand there and let it happen. You've got to get off the air. And you put an arm in the air, well, you're a big chance of not allowing a catch. You might give up a 7-tackle set or a line dropout, but it's better than a try.
Yeah, the Melbourne Storm, I think, scored 2 tries off kicks to Toto and Edwards, with William Warbrick, I think, competing with the
he's
kicks.
very good.
There's that one thing.
He's pretty good too.
Yeah.
There's not too many chinks in the Penrith armour that if you can get it right, there's one area.
What about Jerome Luai? He'll step into this finals campaign now, 2 games left at the very best all together. And he's spoken about what it means to him. And yes, he's taken the deal at the West Tigers, but you can sense that there has been a definite focus for Jerome to do everything that he possibly can to leave Penrith as a winner.
Oh, I'm sure James Fisher-Harris would be thinking the same thing, Bonnie. The players that have already made that decision that are leaving Sunia Turuva, just they want to go out on a high, and that's, I think, the players that have left Penrith over the 4 years, and most of them have signed deals 12 months prior to leaving, hasn't affected any of them. That's over the last 4 years, has not affected one. But there's a pretty good carrot as to why don't let it affect you, because you're playing for a premiership. And that's exactly what Jerome wants to do, and James Fisher-Harris. And it's probably not even fair to say he complimented Nathan well tonight, because Jerome played his own role. Like Jerome stood up and was very effective in everything that he did. Jinking runs, kicking was fantastic. So, and I know the boys highlighted the combination. It is now 11 finals wins out of the 13 games they've played. But the boys said, why are they so good? The question we asked, why are they so good? Well, it's just how well they combine, and it's seamless. They're together. They run off the back of each other.
It looks like Jerome's grown, I think, as a player. I think this year, with the amount of time he's had away from Nath being out with injury, I feel like he's really taken control of the team, and he's grown in a lot more areas from when Nath's been out before, I think. And
State of origin, Mitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was unbelievable. And then Nath comes back in, then they just slot straight together, and it's
Like
just
you two
classy.
combined pretty good state of origin.
Yeah, like it's just Jerome. I feel like the last time I played Origin with him to this series, he's just grown so much as a leader and how he speaks to everyone and how he goes about his training and everything like that. He's a real professional, and I've seen a big difference in him this series.
Well, the reason why Penrith signed, go back a few years, the reason why Penrith signed Sean O'Sullivan was that Matt Burton and Jerome Luai weren't working in the halves because Jerome didn't seem to be the man to be calling the shots. So Penrith said, well, when Nathan's not there, we need a genuine 7 to play that role and fill it and just do, try and replicate what Nathan does, kicking, organising, and have a genuine 7. But Jerome, with the signing at the Tigers, there was question marks were asked. Can Jerome handle being the playmaker?
And what's the answer now?
Well, the answer is without question.
Yeah.
The answer is he can in the Penrith system. Can he do it over the Tigers? But I agree with the boys. He has improved out of sight. His ability to still be that flamboyant line breaker, but then make smart decisions. He used to be locked in the left-hand side, get the ball out the back of shape and then carve up. Now he's actually getting first off the ruck. He can move and provide for Nathan on the right-hand side. So I think the sign of a good player when he's already great is can he improve? And he has definitely done that this year.
He almost collected Ashley Klein there too by booting that ball here fair into the crowd. Isaiah, we spoke about just the influence, the consistency, the leadership, and all of the effort that he brings. When you've got a co-captain like that, and he's playing like he did, up over 160 metres, 16 carries, ultra consistent, very careful as well, Mitch. When you've got someone like that in your side, it's very hard to deviate from where he's showing you where to go.
Any time they looked out of shape or a bit lost, we just had a carry, got him in behind the ruck, created ruck speed for him, and then Jerome and Nath were able to kick off the back of it. But he's the glue in the middle there. He creates all the shape for the forwards, creates space for Jerome and Nath out the back, and he was unbelievable tonight. Like I said, whenever they looked lost, he just tucked it under the arm, got in there behind the ruck and created ruck speed.
So while the two front rowers, Fisher, Harris and Leota, started the game like they have just about every final series, and they turn, and they're two that have flicked the switch tonight. From what they've been doing over the last 6 weeks, it looks like they've been waiting for this game, for the finals to start. And despite them being as good as they were, Isaiah Yeo was the best middle out there. He was just the best middle. Played 80 minutes. As Mitch said, the runs that he made when he needed to play as a front rower, he did that, put chinks in the Roosters' defence. Penrith were able to get quick play the balls and play off the back of that. Yeo as a distributor, he just knows when to pass and when not to. It was a great performance.
It's hard to critique any of that. Like they were that good in the first half. Even Brad Schneider didn't even play a minute. He was good in the first half. That's how good they were.